Fantastic. So I'm Jake Tavel. I'm taking care of the tech side of things for this event. We're going to do a nice little training today, making sure you know exactly what you need to for the event. That being said, some of you are going to know things that I'm going to say. That's okay. We're just going to power through and get through it. And some of you are going to have more trouble with certain things. There will be time for tech questions after I go through, my whole spiel. So please, if it's something that can wait till then, we can wait till there. There will also be a time for program questions after the tech questions, so please hold those until then as well. Well, with that being said, first things first. We're all on right now what's called Zoom meeting format. What we will be for the actual event will be Zoom webinar. It's a little bit different. And what's important to know is you'll all be joining from specific links that will be given to you. Different than this, where it was just an attendee link. You will all actually have personalized links that you will be joining from. And it's important that you join from that link and that you do not share that link with anybody else. Super important. That is not a link for attendees. That is a link just for you to come on. Makes you special, and that's what you're joining from. So you'll be joining on from that link. It's important that you join. I believe we are planning on 15 minutes before your time slot, and you'll join with your pot of people, and we'll talk about the program stuff in a bit. But that's how you'll come on. So it's important that you plan out your day in order, and it's important that you arrive promptly too, please. Super, super important. So you'll have control over your own view. It won't change it for other people. And there's two views in Zoom, gallery view and speaker view. I recommend that you be in gallery view for the actual event. So that's, you'll see you and the other two speakers in your pod there. Yeah, so by the way, since we do kind of have a smaller crowd here, if you do have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand, because if you have your camera on, as I'll be able to see you and go there. But that being said, you can control your own views, top right corner of your screen if you're on a computer. We do ask that you join from a computer for the event and not a smart device. If you have to join from a smart device like an iPad, just be cognizant of the fact that it's a bit different than if you were on a computer. So some of the things that I'm going to go over today don't apply for that, unfortunately. But if you do have the opportunity to join from a computer, please do so. But you'll be able to control your view, top right corner of your screen, between speaker view and gallery view. Like I said, we recommend you be in gallery view. It's not going to change it for anybody else. It's just you. You're going to see, some weird stuff, some things that you're like, oh, why are we seeing that? Don't worry, you're panelists in a webinar. You're seeing behind the curtain. I'll be pulling all the levers, showing the attendees and everybody watching on Facebook and everywhere exactly what they need to see. So don't get thrown off by this at any point. Yeah, so that's basically the views. And there's two other things that make Zoom, well, kind of three other things that make Zoom enjoyable and work well, and that's getting the right audio, the right video, and a good connection. So we're going to talk about connection really first to get that out of the way. So first things first, it's super important that you be in the best place, for your Wi-Fi router, to make sure that you are in an appropriate location. It's important that, if possible, you have other people in your household not on the Wi-Fi during that time. And it's also important that you take your phones off of Wi-Fi. You want to make sure that the bandwidth for your computer is unhindered and it's all going there. Super important. Even if your computer is hardwired through Ethernet, it's still the same bandwidth, so it's still important that you take devices off of Wi-Fi. It's also important that you close all applications on your computer that you do not need open. If you have the names on your computer and you're reading off of them, that's fine to have Word open or whatever those are open in. However, please close all other applications, especially browsers like Chrome, but even non-internet using applications like your calculator application, because Zoom uses a lot of your computer processing power in addition to its internet. So that's very important. By the way, I forgot to mention earlier, if you do have to join from an iPad, you'll be able to change your view by swiping. So you can swipe to the other views, as you probably found before. Great. It's also important to know that while others are reading the names, as in your pod, it'll kind of go from each of you to each of you. You'll all three be on screen together, so don't do anything during that time you don't want people to see. I always say that if your camera's on, just assume that you could be seen. even if it's not a time in which it is time for you to be shown. Just always assume, because you don't want you to be doing anything unfortunate at the wrong time, as certain people in the world have found out during this experience. So that being said, let's talk about audio settings really quickly. So it's important to know that you're not going to be able to do any of these settings on a smart device. You can only do these on a computer. So if you're on a smart device like an iPad and that's that's what you have to use, do not worry about these settings. Just please be in the quietest place in your home, and make sure that you have anything like air conditioners, fans, loud heaters, anything like that off. Super important. That's all silent. This applies all across the board. Make sure you are in the quietest place you can be. It's okay if you have a dog that barks occasionally. I do get that question sometimes. It's, we're all in the same situation. Try to give them some treats though, so they calm down. That being said, what I want everybody on a computer to do is go to the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That's where the mute and unmute button is. It's important to know that you need to be muted when it is not your time to speak, and unmuted when it is. If there is a red line through that button, that means you're muted. If there is not a red line, you are unmuted. You'll also be able to find this on a smart device, just in a different place. So please look for that. It looks like a little microphone icon. Always glance at that before you start speaking. Make sure there's not a red line through it, because we don't want any mouths moving without sound coming out. That would be very unfortunate, and that can go on for a bit unless somebody interrupts you, which, don't worry, we will do if that's the case. But please, 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 keep an eye on the mute button. You'll find on a computer, directly to the right of the mute and unmute button, you'll see a little up arrow, chevron. Looks like this. I want everybody to click that. You'll get a black pop-up window that comes up. And at the bottom of that black pop-up window, you'll see where it says audio settings. And I want you to click that for me. And then you'll get a white pop-up window. Now, depending on which version of Zoom you have, this next part's going to show up one of two ways. But don't worry, I have a solution to both. So what I want you to do is I want you to find at the bottom of this white pop-up where it says advanced. And I want you to click that for me. It can be a little hard to find, so I'm going to give you a second to do that. It'll bring you to a second page of this white pop-up. It's either a blue button or it's in blue writing. I see a few people having some issues. If so, you'll see. Are you on the white pop-up, Mrs. Berkman? No. Okay. So I've unmuted you. Hello. You can talk to me now.
Okay.
Hi. So what do you see?
I didn't find where you said to click.
Got it. So you see where the mute button is in the bottom left-hand corner? Looks like a little microphone. You see to the right of it, there's a little up arrow. It looks like this, right?
Oh.
Click that. Yep. And then at the bottom of that, you'll see it says audio settings.
Okay.
And then you're on the white pop-up.
And now what do I do?
Now at the bottom of the white pop-up, click where it says advanced.
I don't see that.
You might have to scroll a bit if the window's a bit too big.
The bottom it says zinc buttons to reset.
I'm not quite sure what you're looking at
And
the moment.
bottom says accessibility.
So you don't want to be on accessibility. You want to be, you see on the left-hand side, and this is for everybody. If you have had trouble finding this, you'll see a list where it says general, video, audio, accessibility is at the bottom of it. Make sure you've selected audio there.
Oh, I have to select audio first.
Yeah, well, it should usually automatically bring you to audio, but if it didn't,
it says audio, and it's
now you see where it says speaker and microphone, right?
Shall I click on audio?
Yes, click on audio, please.
Oh. Well, oh yeah, it was on audio anyway. Okay.
Oh, good, perfect. And you'll see at the bottom of the white pop-up where it says advanced, all the way at the bottom. Not on the left side where it says accessibility, but to the right.
Oh, I found it. Okay.
Exactly. Click that for me, and then we'll bring you to a second page here. Now, what I want everybody to do is look for these three options. Now, you might not see these options. Half of you will, half of you won't. It's okay if you don't. I want you to raise your hands if you do. If you see these three options that say suppress persistent background noise, suppress intermittent background noise, and echo cancellation, raise your hands. almost all of you will see echo cancellation, but if you see all three of those options, raise your hand. Great. See? Yep, about 50%. Wonderful. So if you see those options, and if you don't, it's okay, just hold up 1 second. But if you see those options, please set those to disable, disable auto from top to bottom. So suppress persistent background noise, disable. Suppress.
Are we going to go back and undo all this at
This
the
is
end?
what this you're going to want this for everything. So don't worry, this is what I actually recommend for even just zooming with, family. This is a great
I
thing
have
to have.
rehearsals.
This is great for rehearsals. This is perfect. I'll explain why in a second. But
Okay,
yep.
Okay, what are we doing with those three?
So you're going to set the top two to disable.
And how do I do that?
So you'll see where it says either auto or moderate. Just so everybody knows, if you see where it has those options, it becomes a drop-down menu when you click on it, and then you're able to click disable. Just so everybody knows, the reason why we're doing this is because the noise suppression algorithm in Zoom is awful, and it thinks that the human voice is noise. And it tries to suppress us, which is not what we want. We want to make our voices heard nice, loud, and clear for the world to hear. So it's important that we disable this and we be in the quietest places we possibly can. It did not do a great job at disabling noise to begin with, so it's important.
So we're doing it to the first two, right?
Just the first two, where it says suppress persistent background noise and suppress intermittent background noise. Now, for everybody that did not see these options, what you're going to do is click the back button at the top left of this white pop-up. You'll see a little blue back button there. It'll bring you back to the first page that we were on originally there, the first white pop-up page. Around the center of it, you'll see where it says suppress background noise. If you're having an issue finding this, go to where it says microphone, bring your cursor down to where it says input level, bring that down to where it says input volume, and then below that you'll see automatically adjust microphone volume, and below that you'll see where it says suppress background noise, and that's where you're going to set it to low. You're going to set that to low. If you did those three options we talked about earlier, if you had those, you're not doing this. Only if you did not have those options do you do this. That being said, if you are on a Chromebook, by the way, you do not have this option, so do not worry about this at all. If you are on a Chromebook, you are not able to do so, which I know some people sometimes are. Great. So after that point, what you'll do is you can exit out of that white pop-up. Ms. Bergman, I can't hear you. What are you saying? I can hear you now.
I didn't get to do what you just said to do because I couldn't find it, and all of a sudden
you had those three options, Ms. Bergman. So you're all set. You're good to go now.
Oh, I don't have to do anything.
Nope, you're perfect. You're all set. So what you'll do is you'll just hit the little red dot in the top left of that white pop-up, and you can close out that white pop-up there.
What do I hit to close it?
It's a little.
You mean the X?
Yep, exactly. The little red X.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So it's fine. Perfect. I'm seeing. Is there a question from Dina or Dinah? Sorry if I get your name wrong. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't have those three, but when I did hit the low on the first option, but down lower it says music and professional audio.
You don't have to worry about any of that.
So from that point on. Also, may I suggest just if you can slow down just a tad.
Yeah, no, of course.
Thank you.
We also, just so everybody knows, if you do get lost at any point and you do just want to take some time on your own to go through and do all of this, it is also laid out very clearly in the PDF that we have provided you if you want to spend some more time with anything that I'm going over. But I will slow down a bit, and please let me know if I talk too fast. I got the New York, I'm doing got to slow down for the West Coast 5 a bit. That being said, so this has turned off your noise suppression. It's super important as well that you silence your cell phone. So please remember to do that. I won't be able to make an announcement as we'll be in the middle of the event. It's important to know that when you join, we'll be in the middle of the event. So you're not going to be able to unmute. I'm not going to be able to go through all of this with you then. You'll have to, do this ahead of time. So it's super important to stay on the ball and go through the checklist and the PDF that we have provided you. It's all there. It's all there. Don't worry. There is nothing I'm going over here that I'm not just going a little bit more into detail than is in that PDF. Ruth, yes. Just unmute for me there.
Is there any reason why I can't just leave all the settings we're doing now till Saturday?
So they should carry over, but sometimes they don't. So you need to check these
Okay.
before once
Thank
you
you.
join. Yeah, of course. You need to
Thank
check
you.
these. Yeah, no problem. But everybody, just so you know, you'll have to check these once you come on. It might be already preset, but always double check them. And you'll only be able to do that, once you hop on the meeting. Great. So silence your phones. Make sure any house phones that you have as well, try to make them not able to ring, either by disconnecting them or moving them to another room. Yeah, if anybody here is on, who here is on a Mac computer? If you are, please raise your hand. Great, that's what I love to see. I'm a Mac user myself. I don't discriminate against the PC users, don't worry. But if you're on a Mac computer, you are more susceptible to notifications coming through, which I'm sure some people are wondering about, and that has strifed some people throughout this pandemic. I have the cure. I have the solution. So basically, what we're going to do, and this is just for Mac users, very briefly, don't worry, it's not going to take a while. If you're on a Mac computer, you're going to take your mouse, you're going to go to the very top right corner of your screen. By the way, it's important that everybody not be in full screen right now. Please don't be in full screen when you're on Zoom. You lose a lot of functionality, and I don't recommend it. So you'll go to the top right corner of your screen. You'll see 3 parallel lines to the right of the Siri icon. I want you to click that, and you'll get a gray pop-out that comes out. It's the very top right corner of your screen. Now you'll get a gray pop-out that comes out, and I want you to put your cursor. By the way, there's a diagram of this in the PDF if you want to. I'm not going to spend too much time on this right now. I'm just going to go through it briefly. If you want to spend more time, you can take a look at that diagram if you're having trouble. But you'll see this gray pop-out comes out, and then you can put your cursor over that. If you're on a trackpad, you'll take 2 fingers on your trackpad, scroll up and down. If you're on a mouse, you'll click and scroll up and down with your cursor. And at the top, you'll see where it says do not disturb, and you will turn that on. There are a few other ways to do this, very easy to find by Googling if you are having trouble with my method, which is in the PDF. But that'll automatically reset in 24 hours. So if you do forget that on and want your notifications to come through, don't worry. Will automatically come back through. But that'll make sure we don't get any FaceTime calls coming through, no email notifications, and no iMessage texts interrupting you reading some names, because that would be unfortunate. So with that being said, that's audio, that's settings. Real nice and simple. All you got to do is make sure that those settings are enabled how they need to be, and that you're in a quiet place. Make sure your notifications are off, phones off, all of that. Let's talk about video. Let's talk about how people see you, because they want to see your faces. We are here, and that's important, especially on a day like what we will be remembering. Basically, yeah, and this is for everybody. This is not for Mac users anymore. We have moved on. This is for everybody in total. We're going to talk about video. So there's 2 aspects to making sure people see you well: positioning and lighting. So first things first, let's talk about positioning. What you want is your computer, your camera, to be perpendicular to your face. You want to look like you're talking like to somebody, straight to somebody. I'm a bad example of this right now, because I unfortunately am not in the best position to do this. However, what I would do is I would put a couple books underneath it. I would raise it up so it looks like that. So it looks like I'm talking directly to somebody. So if you're on a laptop, this is super easy. All you have to do is put a couple books under, see how it's facing you, adjust the tilting of your screen so that it's more perpendicular to your face, and line it up just right. We're not going to go through and check everybody on this, but please try to adjust that as much as possible. You want to make sure your head's not being cut off, and you want to make sure that you're well framed. It's always good to leave a little bit of space up top, even if you have puffy curly hair like I do. So that's what we'll do with positioning. If you're on a desktop, however, I know it can be a bit more difficult to adjust this. So what you're going to do if you're on a desktop is it's important that you tilt your screen down a bit more, because we want to make sure you're not all the way down at the bottom. We want to make sure that you're well framed. Yep, exactly, Ruth. That's perfect. That's wonderful. And what you'll do is you'll also want to raise yourself up in your chair if you can. If you can't, totally fine. But if you can raise your chair up so that you come up to meet it a little bit more, that's great. If you can also feel comfortable, if you feel comfortable sitting on a pillow, this can help as well to raise you up if you're on a desktop computer. So that's positioning, nice and simple. You want to make sure you're in the center of your screen and that, you have a little gap up top and you're not all the way at the bottom or all the way at the top. Nice and easy. So, like I said, if you're on a laptop, you can use anything from books, which are easy, to Tupperware containers if you have some sturdy ones. When it comes to lighting, this is very important. What you want is lighting coming onto your face from behind your device. You don't want it coming from behind you. You want it coming from in front of you so that your face is well lit. And you also don't want it coming from right above you. I'm a bad example right now because I have a lamp to my left, for example, and it's left and a little higher. So you're seeing light come here, but you see this side of my face is in a shadow. We don't want that. What you would want is to angle yourself so that you are facing it so that the light is coming onto your face. It's important that if you have recessed lighting in the ceiling, you don't want that glare coming in. So try to adjust yourself or dimming that or turning lights off in order so that's not showing up. For example, Judy and John, with you guys, once you raise your computer up, actually, so you don't have to do this right now, but once you raise your computer up, you'll see that you're able to cut out those lights so you don't have the glare because it'll be more perpendicular to your face. So that's a great thing there because you don't want the light coming from directly above either. So some great solutions to this as well. If you have a table lamp and you have the ability to place it behind your computer, one with a shade so that it's not too bright on your face, you want to place that behind your device. That'll create some nice diffuse lighting on your face. If you don't have the ability to do this, just adjusting some floor lamps or any adjustable lighting you have in order to be shining directly onto your face is great. It can hurt your eyes a little bit if you're doing it for too long, but you're not going to be on for too long, so it should not be a problem. But it's super important that you do not have a window behind you. I'm going to repeat that again because if you have a window with light coming through behind you, you're just going to be in darkness and there's going to be a huge glare for everybody. So please, if you know you're going to have light at that time, if you're on during a time when you can rely on light, you can face the window and have your device there with the camera pointing at you and the light coming onto your face. That's fine, but only if you can rely on that light, as I know some of us will be up in the middle of the night when that's not going to be possible. So please, be cognizant of what time of the day you will be on camera. So that's lighting, nice and simple. Take some time adjusting that and seeing yourself well lit. You don't want any glares, you don't want any shadows. Just position that light directly onto your face. Let's talk about virtual backgrounds. We're not going to use them. I know some people love them and they can't live without them. However, we're all in our homes right now. We're all in the same position. Nobody's judging your decor choices. If you do have a bookshelf or something like that, even a home office or a kitchen or anything, people love to see that. Nobody's judging you, I promise. And people like to feel in the same place as we all are. It's also important to know that using virtual backgrounds like that will diminish your connection and your video quality. So that's another couple of big reasons why we do not use them. So no virtual backgrounds. Make sure if you come on and you accidentally have it on to turn it off. And that's important to know. Everybody's going to be joining onto the event with their camera off. It's going to automatically be off when you join. It's important to keep your camera off because you'll be joining while other people are speaking until it's time to switch over to your group of people, at which point me as the host or my colleagues who will also be working, we can send you push notifications, but if you also just feel it out, they've finished talking and we're going to the next people and you haven't turned your camera on by that point, turn it on. How you turn your camera on is nice and easy. You know where the mute and unmute button is in the bottom left hand corner if you're on a computer. To the right of that, you'll see a start and stop video icon. Same thing, works the same exact way, but for your camera. If there's a red line through it, your camera's off. If there is not, your camera is on. Nice and simple. If you're on a smart device like an iPad, you'll be looking for that camcorder icon that says stop video there as well. So yeah, nice and easy. And that is video. Now, let me think, what am I missing next? Oh, the chat. So if we need to write to you, if you're having an issue and need to write to us, we have the chat enabled. And what you can do is you can click the chat icon in the bottom toolbar there. You can see you can open it now. It should open on the right. If you are not in full screen, it'll come up as a little module if you are in full screen. And it's important to know that you should not be sending messages, out to the public, not to the attendees. You'll want to send private messages to me or my staff or to another member of the team. So How you do that is you find the blue to field that you'll see in the chat. It says to, and then it has a colon, and then it has someone's name, or it says everyone. And you can select exactly who you want to send a message to. Make sure you're sending a private message and not a private message that becomes a public message, as we do not want that. So please be on top of that. Let me think. That is right. Yeah, if you want to test this right now, you can send a message to Kim or Jason if you'd like in the chat. So you can go to the to field and do that right now if you want to test that out. It's nice and simple. You'll all come on. You'll have your cameras off. When it's time to turn them on, you'll turn them on. You'll unmute if it's your time to speak. You will then read the names. When you are done, I will, we'll get the next 3 people up, have them turn their cameras on. We'll turn your cameras off. We'll remove you as panelists, and that's it. That's all we got to do.